In early January, January the 10th, Cyclone Hale hit our region, and our region is Gisborne District. It's a region on the east coast of the North Island. And we had severe interruption to our infrastructure network then as well, communities cut off. And then as we were recovering from that, last week, Cyclone Gabrielle hit New Zealand, and several areas were impacted. This time it was Auckland, the Coromandel, us, as well as Hawke's Bay. And still we have about 1,000 people who are disconnected. They can only be reached by air or by sea. We have bridges out. We still have massive infrastructure issues with our water supply. We were totally cut off from all internet connection and phone connection for a few days, thousands of households without electricity. So it is fair to say we've had a tough 10 days.
Yes, and you've got the task of trying to get people to reduce their water consumption, managing these ongoing issues. How long do you think this might go on for?
So it's been nearly a week, and we have asked our community to reduce all water use immediately. And I'm really proud to say our community are really doing their part, and we can see that the demand is taking down and we are seeing the supply slowly building up. We do have an auxiliary plant which we built in 1988 after Cyclone Bola hit our region, so we could start that up, but that only gives us a quarter of the water we usually use. So at this stage, all industry is cut off from their water supply. So it's not good for business. We are asking our community to really work hard to reduce it. Otherwise, our taps will run dry.
Yeah. Has the flooding in people's homes subsided? What is the position with people who were, in fact, evacuated in some instances and, homeless for a little while?
Yes, it's really heartbreaking. Yesterday, I visited some of the affected neighbourhoods and some of the affected townships, and it's absolutely heartbreaking to go into a neighbourhood and all you see on the curb are piles of rotting furniture because it's just covered in silt. So at this stage, we're in massive clean-up mode. We're trying to get homes that we've got red stickered homes, which mean you will never go back to that home. And I think we've got about 160 yellow stickered homes, which can be tidied up and you would be able to move back. But we are having a massive clean-up. Then alongside that, we're doing our water work. Alongside that, we're trying to get electricity back to everyone. And then 2 days ago, our connectivity, our internet connectivity was restored because it was really tough. The 2-3 days we could not communicate with our community and they could not communicate with us. We were totally cut off from the rest of New Zealand.
I'm sure you were very busy today dealing with other issues, but the new Prime Minister had his first address to Parliament, and you could sense the impact dealing with this disaster has had on him.
I hosted the Prime Minister here on Thursday, and that was the day where we could really see that emotional impact on our community, where they were not able to communicate with their family to let them know that they were fine. The rest of New Zealand was seeing on the news that something was happening in New Zealand, but they didn't know something was happening in Gisborne, but they didn't know what was going on. So when the Prime Minister came and I could take him around and he could see the impact on people's homes, the impact on our infrastructure, the fact that we can only communicate via Starlink, he took that back to him in Wellington, and you would also be aware that they announced a massive funding package yesterday in recognition of the massive work ahead of us.
Yeah, and I was reading that it could run into the billions of dollars, but the essential thing is that you get the help that you need.
Yes, and I only have praise for our National Emergency Management Agency. They have walked alongside us from day one. This is not our first walk in the park. We have had 6 severe weather events in the last 18 months. So when this warning came our way, we could warn our community and we were well prepared. But what eventually came our way was way bigger than we ever imagined.
You know, and Rehette, this is an interesting one because, you know, many people don't associate New Zealand with major weather events, but there are many countries that fall into that kind of ambit. Is it something that you're going to have to learn to put in mitigation, disaster mitigation procedures and learn how to live with these kind of events?
Those are discussions we will have to have, because we will need to look, first of all, at our network, the roading networks in and out of our region. We were totally cut off. Nothing could come in here but helicopters. We had the Navy in here delivering water and food. So our roading network, very important. Our electricity resilience, our water infrastructure and how we future-proof that. And then also our connectivity. So we, as a nation, because we're a relative small nation and we're a bunch of smart people, so hopefully we can all put our heads together and find a solution where we can make sure we future-proof New Zealand for these types of events.
Well, it was nice to see some of the kids getting back to school today, and I guess that's important for people to get back to some form of normality.
I could walk around town today and I popped into our business district and I could chat with all shop owners just to make sure the electricity was on, the connectivity was ready, and you could feel there was a little positivity in the air, and obviously some relieved parents after more than a week of having kids at home. I think everyone was quite happy to send their kids back to school, get back to work, so that we can get ready for this massive cleanup in our region.
Yes, and it's, you know, so much still lies ahead. You're showing such resilience. Our thoughts are with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.